Hi boys, another video today on fractions. The topic that we're looking at in this video is equivalent fractions. Okay, so what is an equivalent fraction? Okay, it is two fractions or more that are equal in value to each other, even if the numerator and the denominator are different numbers, and that is totally possible. Okay, so say if I had 1/2 as an example of a fraction, and then I wrote 2/4. If you think of a pizza, okay, if you were to cut it in half, and then you were to cut it into quarters, 2 of the quarters of the pizza would be the same value as 1/2, okay? And then if you cut it into 8s, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces would be still the same as a half and still the same as 2/4. Okay, so how do we come up with equivalent fractions? The one thing you need to remember, and I keep chanting this away to my class, is whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator. And a simpler way to say that is whatever you do to the top, you've got to do to the bottom. The only way you can get equivalent fractions is by timesing or dividing. You can't plus or minus, okay, the numerator or the denominator. That is not an option. Okay, so if I was to give you another example, just trying to think of one, 2/3. If I wanted to find an equivalent fraction, the easiest way to do that would be to double it. And by doubling, I mean I'm timesing by 2. And of course, whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. Okay, and so 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 6. So 2/3 and 4/6 are equivalent fractions to each other. Okay, thinking of another example, let's go 10/15. Okay, now most of the time we find equivalent fractions by multiplying, because I think people are more comfortable multiplying than dividing. But I'll show you an example where you can divide. So you must think to yourself, well, what numbers does 10 and 15 both divide into? Okay, so you could have an answer of 5, and that's the only option really. Okay, so if I was to divide by 5, because I know both numbers divide by 5, if you find that only one number divides by the number you've chosen and not the other, then you can't use that number. You have to choose a different one, because it has to be done top and the bottom has to be the same. 10 divided by 5 is 2, 15 divided by 5 is 3. And just by chance, I've come up with my original fraction. Okay, one more example. Let's go 7 and 9. Okay, so if I was to times by 3, just as an example, okay, 3 times 7 is 21, and 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, so 21/27 is exactly the same in value as 7/9, even though the numbers, the denominator and the numerator, are different in the second fraction. And of course they're going to be different, because with equivalent fractions, that's the whole purpose. Getting a fraction that is different in appearance, but exactly the same value. Sorry guys, I've just realised as I've written that you can't see my working down here. I'll do it up here again. 7/9, yeah, you can see it, equals 7 times 3 is 21, 9 times 3 is 27, okay? Sorry, just moving that work up from the bottom.